Hello, and welcome to the Guilbault Girls Show, where you will have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability. I know, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have a bonus for you as we get the Guilbault boys to interview some of the dads and siblings and get their perspectives too. We'll also have special guests from time to time to share the many resources that are available to those living with a disability and their families. So get ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry when you hear some of these stories of their day-to-day struggles. But let's not forget their many triumphs. As they say, it takes a village. And if it weren't for our village, we wouldn't be where we are today. So join us. Hello, and welcome back to our last episode of season 1 of the Guilbault Girls. I'm your host, Karen Guilbault, and today is going to be a little bit different. It's actually going to be me sharing my story. I know I've shared it, in little glimpses here and there throughout the different interviews that we've done, but I've realized I never really sat down and kind of told you my whole full story. So I figured what better way to close out the show than that. So, first off, this is our first show. I think it went great. I'm already booking up and have plenty of interviews underway and then have already been done to kick off season 2. If you or anyone that you think would be, a good fit for the show, want to share their story, if they have any resources they want to share, please have them reach out to me. You can find us at Guilbault Girls on any platform and guilbaultgirls at gmail.com. We have it on the podcast that goes out every Tuesday, and then on Fridays it goes off on our YouTube show. And you have the opportunity to hear from mothers, fathers, siblings, and individuals themselves about their journey of living with a disability, basically. So, and again, like I say, yes, it's called Guilbault Girls, but we have to throw in that bonus there of trying to get my husband in the mix when we interview the parents. And then I'm really, really going to try hard when my son is here or home for leave for him to actually maybe do a few interviews, because I think it's important to have him be included as well. So, and then we have the special guests to share the different resources and different organizations out there that help the people, in our community. So one of the first interviews, looking back, like how nervous I was, I had interviewed Billy Price, co-founder of Billy Footwear. And we did 2 interviews with him, one on Billy Footwear and, how their focus is on the shoes that embodies universal design, meaning that they both appeal to and work for everyone, basically. So, and they're huge in the disability community to be able to get over the braces that the kids have to wear. So, and the other one was more on a personal level of him sharing his own story of how he fell from a 3-story window and became paralyzed. And what was powerful to him, what he said to me, everyone has a story. And this is why he appreciated being on my show, because it's important to talk about this stuff and create platforms for people to be able to share. We're not necessarily saying that this is the solution, but let's talk about the struggles and together let's figure them out. And, we're all better for it. And, he couldn't have said it any better, and just the different emails and messages that I get, of how it's reaching people out there. I just think it's pretty awesome. So I'm going for round 2, season 2, coming up. So when I first started the show, I was worried about asking the wrong question or offending somebody, or maybe even going a little bit too deep. I think that's why I put starting the show off for so long, because I've been wanting to do this for several years, but I'm like, oh, excuse after excuse after excuse. I watched YouTube show after YouTube show of, showing you how to do it, what to do, questions to ask. I'm like, I know I have all that. And I just kept talking up to, I'm not technical and I can't get my website off of the ground. And every time that I've asked people or offered to pay for people to, to help me, they say they help me. And then it didn't come through. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then lo and behold, Faith had her documentary and I got hooked up with 3 different podcasters, and 2 of them became like major mentors and friends. And they're like, just start it. And they mentored me, told me, what to do, how to do. And I couldn't have been happier to have been on their shows and close them out in season 1 with me, and share their stories and their podcasts as well. But it's so important to be able to show and share these stories, and share how you got through those tough times and share those resources. It's really about digging deep and sharing those vulnerable moments with others. When you tune into our show, be ready to laugh, smile, cry, maybe even get a little angry. Just don't get Jersey angry. You don't want to see me get Jersey angry. But when you hear some of these stories, of their day-to-day struggles, but you don't want to forget those many triumphs, because there's a lot. So my favorite quote is, "It takes a village to raise a child." This is an African proverb that means that an entire community of people must provide for and interact positively with children for those children to experience and grow in a safe and healthy environment. I have to say it, if it weren't for our village, we honestly would not be where we are today. And I consider those people in my village, my family, and will be my family till the day I die, no matter what period of life, month, year, whatever they played a part in with our journey. They will be family. So I encourage you to seek out our show and join our village by liking, subscribing, and sharing it to the masses. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in every 4 people in the U.S. lives with a disability. So sharing really is important. Today, I'm going to share my story. I am a wife, a mother of 2 premature children, who are now 19. Faith is 19, and my son JD is 23. You would never know that my son had any issues by looking at him today. I had him at 28 weeks, and literally thought everything was fine, standing in my bathroom like, wait a minute, what's going on? I just peed. Sorry, Fix, but that was real. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, my water broke. I was in the hospital for 5 days in Trendelenburg, and then his heart rate started going erratic. So then they induced me, and I had him. He was 2.5 pounds. He was in the NICU just under 2 months. And I got him home, and I had to give him CPR twice. And the one time was horrific because I had to call 911. He had an abnormal suck. So when he was on lactulose, it was very thick. And that time he actually had choked on it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, he's turning blue. He's not breathing. So I had to like turn him over, and I was like smacking him and, doing that on his back. And then I turned him back over, gave him his breast, turned him back over, on with 911. And here comes the knock on my door. We lived in Florida at that time, and they're looking around, and I'm holding them, and I'm like, he's right here. They had gotten a call that it was a 70-year-old male that wasn't breathing. I'm like, oh, good God, are you serious? And I was home by myself. It scared the living bejesus out of me. But he ended up back in the hospital. And that wasn't the last time that I had to do CPR, like I had said. So it was one of the scariest roller coaster rides of my life, because it was a matter of life and death for him. What he had is, they called it A's and B's, which stands for apnea and bradycardia. It's where he would stop breathing for a period longer than 20 seconds, or his heart rate would drop down below 70. He was on a heart monitor until he was about 8 months old, which is typically a lot longer than most have it on, because, let's face it, as they get older, they start rolling around. The last thing you want to do is for him to roll around and choke himself on this cord. He was also still very tiny at that time. But I prayed and I talked to God every day. I put my faith in him, and you know what? He didn't fail me, because if you'd see the kid today, you would be like, oh my gosh, no way. Yes, he struggled when he was younger. He didn't start walking until he was about 18 months. He was diagnosed with a mild form of CP. And he went for, oh gosh, he didn't even get mild. He got diagnosed at AI DuPont. He was, 18 months, 2 years old when he got diagnosed with that. So we did both PT and OT. He didn't have to wear braces or anything, which was good. And I can also tell you that he turned out to be an amazing athlete, competing on local, state, and national levels for BMX and archery. He was scouted out to play lacrosse for a D1 college and is now in the Army. So go figure, right? So he's doing absolutely wonderful. So then we knew we wanted to have a second child. And we did. We held off for a few years. There's, 4-year age gap between them because I was scared. And so was Jesse, but I knew every pregnancy is different. And I just put my trust in God. I'm like, God, give me more than I can handle. Please let everything go fine this time. Well, I was on bed rest for 42 days in the hospital with Faith, giving birth to her at 31 weeks. She weighed in at 4 pounds, 2 ounces, was only in the NICU for 2 weeks. So the day that she was released was when the doctors told us that she had periventricular leukomalacia. Say that 3 times. In short, PVL. So PVL is caused by lack of oxygen or blood flow to the brain in the periventricular area of the brain, which results in death or loss of the brain tissue and can form little cysts. So again, depending upon, people with CP, it all depends upon where in the brain it affects you. But anyway, so they proceeded to tell us that she had an 85% chance of having cerebral palsy. And then by 6 months old, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, CP. And that's when our lifelong journey really began. With JD, it was life or death. But with Faith, we knew that it was going to be lifelong. We were told about all the things that she wasn't going to be able to do, and that she would never walk and she would be wheelchair bound, amongst a ton of other things. But she did. She proved those doctors wrong. And I give all the glory to God because, she uses quad canes. Well, she was using quad canes in the house. I'll get into that a little bit later on why she doesn't use them as often as she did. But she uses a walker in school. She uses a wheelchair for long distances. She's doing so many things that they said she would never do. Faith was not only does she have cerebral palsy, but she also has cortical vision impairment. So she sees what we see, but her brain processes it differently, not like we do. She also has no depth perception or peripheral vision on the left side. So with that, having cortical vision impairment, something that we always thought had tested, and they said, no. She had vision therapy, and it wasn't until much later that she was finally diagnosed. And this is a little tidbit to y'all, is don't just see an ophthalmologist, see a neuro-ophthalmologist, because cortical vision, it isn't, again, it's not with the eyes, it's actually your brain, your optic nerve. There's damage, and it's the way your brain perceives it. So now it made a huge difference with her being able to be at the Maryland School for the Blind, because they know how to teach her the way that she can learn best with the CVI. So, and then recently she was diagnosed with what they call postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, otherwise known as POTS. And it's a condition that affects the circulation of the blood flow. And the primary symptoms are lightheadedness, fainting, which she has never done, thank God, so far, and being uncomfortable, rapid increase heart rate, amongst other things. She was also diagnosed with epilepsy back when she was about 7 years old, but was able to overcome it and no longer suffers from seizures. I even asked the doctors if they could, put that on letterhead, so I can frame it to remind myself that yes, God is in the business of miracles still to this day. One of the reasons that I wanted to start our show is because I feel I have a lot of knowledge and life experience living and working with the disability community, from, all the different countless hours of traditional therapies and specialist appointments to the many hours on the phone, working with insurance companies. I remember in Florida, even with JD, and I was on for hours trying to figure all this stuff out. And my best friend since 5th grade, she was actually visiting, and she's like, oh my gosh, I could not do this. What are you doing? I'm like, spending countless hours on the phones with insurance to get things straightened out. It was ridiculous. But also not only that, now going through that transition period of her being on the family support waiver and finally getting SSI and Medicaid. And, it truly is a second job to be a parent of a child with special needs. I learned early on how important it was to perform the research and be an advocate. I always say, if it wasn't for the people that came before me and have given me the advice and have already walked this walk, I would be lost. So this is my purpose and platform, to be able to provide those supports and resources for others out there. My hope is to connect with one another. Some may not even get resources that many have never even known about, to just the feeling of, wow, I'm not the only one going through this. So it really does touch on everything. It takes you from the highs and the lows and on that roller coaster ride, of birth and on up. So you really feel what they feel. It also brings about awareness of how so many people around the world are taking things for granted, right? From eating, walking, dressing, bathing, writing, speaking, to even dancing, because they just don't have the knowledge or the awareness. And it's necessary and critical to significantly, say that 3 times, all these 3-time words I'm doing, significantly increase awareness and teach individuals how to communicate and advocate for themselves, and for others to do the same for their loved ones. So I want to bring the information and support people living with a disability, for them to have a better life. So this is crazy too. So raising children, obviously they're not cheap. But did you know that raising a child with a disability costs more on average, and depending on their diagnosis, may need care for the rest of their lives? Which Faith will need care for the rest of her life. And so many other, individuals out there too. And it costs an estimated a little over $233,000 to raise a child to age 17, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That's not even including any other alternative therapies that many take their kids to. Most families who have a child with a disability has, one parent home in order to care for them, bring them to therapies, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, all the different specialty appointments. I always found myself in direct sales when she was young, and then I would have 2 part-time jobs just so we can make ends meet and still be able to work my hours around her appointments as she got older. So I worked for the school for 8 years, in the kitchen as a lunch lady. And then I always did direct sales, or I worked in a salon one other time. So I always had to work 1 and 2 jobs to work around that schedule. And the school was perfect because at that time I had off during the summers. I had off, during the holidays, all the days that she had off, I had off. I was able to go in the morning, get her on the bus, go in the morning, and be home before she got home. My mother also lived on our property, so grateful for that, because on the days that I couldn't, she would watch her or get her on or off of the bus. So, it's really, 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 really tough on families. And I also, I spend a lot of time researching, and I've raised close to $30,000 over the course of the years for Faith to attend many of these different alternative therapies. One of my goals is to also have families on to highlight these different alternative therapies and share what has worked and what has not worked for their child, how they raise the funds, what organizations are out there that you can, maybe apply for different grants in different states. And I've always been a multitasker. People literally have told me in the past that I've been called a jack of all trades. So I right now, actually, I work 1 full-time job. It's nice because now that Faith is older, I'm able to do that with her, with her going to the Maryland School for the Blind, because the days are longer. And now she actually is in the residential program 3 days a week. But I think I'll always have some side gig going on. Like, hello, now I'm doing the podcasting and the YouTube show. I'm always have something going on. I work for the ARC Northern Chesapeake region, which is a nonprofit organization that supports individuals living with intellectual and developmental disabilities out there in the community to live, work, and thrive. And I'm actually in the treatment foster care department. I'm the recruiter and admin there, and I've helped out with family support services as well. And I owe them a lot of credit because when Faith was, I think it was 7 years old, so like 2006, 2007 was when I first got involved with them in their family support services. And, you know, I really, Faith probably would not be where she is today. Well, I know that if it wasn't for the help and guidance that I had through them. Um, so, but going back to Faith, she never let her disability hold her back from trying new things. She was in Girl Scouts, cheerleading, she played sled hockey, and she even walked the runway in New York City for Fashion Week in 2016 for Runway of Dreams, which is a nonprofit whose mission is to work towards a future of inclusion, acceptance, and opportunity in the fashion industry for people with disabilities. Runway of Dreams collaborated with Tommy Hilfiger to launch their first adaptive line, which is now Tommy Adaptive. And Faith's been in photo shoots. She's been interviewed for many different TV segments and articles. And we even attended a White House celebration for inclusive design, assistive technology, and prosthetics alongside Mindy Shire from Runway of Dreams. Mindy Shire, founder and CEO of Runway of Dreams, later launched a talent agency called Gamut Management. We've been blessed to be involved with both Runway of Dreams and Gamut Management from the start. Faith is actually one of the faces that you will see on the website too. And you will also hear from her because I interviewed her as well, which will be in season 2. So in 2019, Faith was asked to walk the runway for New York Fashion Week once again, this time showcasing Kohl's Adaptive. 2 days before the show, we got a call about an opportunity to film a documentary with a nonprofit called By Kids. By Kids produce inspiring youth-created documentaries about pressing global issues to use as catalysts for empathy, connection, and change. They do this by identifying universal themes and then pairing renowned filmmakers with the young storytellers who humanize important topics through their own stories, making them accessible, relevant, and actionable. By Kids partners with public television and education innovators to distribute the films and support materials for in-class and at-home learning. How awesome is that? This provides a broad platform for cross-cultural understanding and empathetic engagement. Face World is part of a series of 4 that has a reach of 84 million viewers through PBS. And the films, along with the school guides, go to half of the schools in America through Discovery Education. The belief is that one story can lead to understanding and change. This is one of the best experiences so far. We filmed 2 days in New York, capturing her walking the runway and interviewing Mindy. Then they came to our house and filmed for another, 7-8 days. It was just awesome. They became like family too. It actually aired April of 2021 on PBS. If you want to see it, you can just Google Faith's World PBS and it'll come up and you can watch it. So, and it shares a glimpse into her life of living with cerebral palsy, epilepsy at the time, which she no longer has, praise God, and cortical vision impairment. Her director mentor was Joyce Chopra, and she was just amazing. Faith even got a director's credit for it as well. It's gone on to be shown and has won several awards at different international film festivals, and has articles with the Scholastic magazine and the Malala Fund, just to name a few. It's pretty cool. She was also so Faith was also a Best Buddies ambassador for the state of Maryland for 2 years. Then when COVID hit, everything kind of shut down, and then she kind of fell into this social anxiety and much of what our kids have fallen into, and backed away. But she was also did during COVID, was on for a year on the National Advisory Board for Path to the Future through the WNet. So many people see her and they call her a movie star, or a celebrity, or tell her she's famous. And she does not like that at all. She doesn't like the attention. And there was actually an interview that we did. Sorry, my eye is twitching. So if you're watching, you see me with my eye. She did an interview with Tokyo when her documentary was chosen to be shown at the Japan Prize. And there was a brilliant clip of her stating, "I don't want to be a celebrity. I want to be an advocator." And it was pretty cool because it even had the captions were in Japanese, but they put that little scroll round and round and round. "I don't want to be a celebrity. I want to be an advocator. I don't want to be a celebrity. I want to be an advocator." And I just think it's so powerful, because she knows no different. I don't think that she even realizes the scope of how many people that she actually has reached by her documentary, because it was just me, her, Jesse, and then we had Kat behind the camera, Sammy, one of the producers, and Joyce, the director, and Faith. I mean, doing our daily, everyday, daily, weekly things. So it wasn't anything new to us. So I think it was hard for her to wrap her head around it. But I believe it's a gift God gave her, just to be able to be an advocate for herself and others in the disability community. And if she didn't have her disability, she would have never had these amazing experiences or met half of the people that she's met. Let's face it. As for me, I've been a member and chaired our county special education citizens advisory committee. Well, not our county. It was the county we lived in Cecil County. We're now in Harford County. But I did that. And we worked both with the special ed education director and the team of professionals alongside the families. I had a seat on the Maryland State Planning Council on developmental disabilities that we had to get appointed by the governor for that. And I've taken numerous classes and facilitated many, increasing knowledge of the rights and responsibilities for parents of children with disabilities. So, of course, my passion lies within helping others. And what better way than to create a show to highlight the disability community and their needs on an outstanding platform? So I need your help to help me spread it. It's important to share the stories and take people through that journey on that roller coaster ride of emotions. Like I said earlier, the key is to let others know that they are not alone and give them the resources and tools needed to help guide them along that way. Being at work 40 hours a week, along with taking care of Faith and housework, but we do get a 3-day break because she's at residential now. I've only committed to launching the 2 episodes a month, which fall on the 2nd and 4th week. In between there, so I also have my own business with I'm a My Intent maker. If you've ever heard of My Intent, look them up. They're fabulous. And I got a gift card for a My Intent bracelet from my senior director at work. I'm like, what is this? I looked at it. I'm like, oh, how cool is this? They like hand stamp your word, a meaningful word. It's like a daily reminder, yada, yada, yada. And so I was trying to figure out what my word was going to be. So at first I said, okay, I think I'm going to choose "you are enough" or focus. So then my husband chimed in and he's like, you know what? I think you should choose focus, because when you focus, you do amazing things. I'm like, oh my gosh, gotta love them. So that's what I chose. And then with that, Faith piped up and she's like, hey, I want to choose one. I'm like, okay, what would you choose? And she turned around and she said, I choose fearless. And I said, okay, why? And she said, because that's how I have to live my life every day to overcome the struggles of my disability, something to that array. But I was like blown away. Like, oh my gosh, I love that. And then I was reading into it more and I saw how you can buy a kit and yada, yada. And then you can sell them, but you have to get your own business license. And so I went through the whole rigmarole. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I did it. So I got my sole proprietorship and started everything up, did great the first year. We went into the schools and we had Faith and her best buddy from the Best Buddies Ambassador Club go in, and they would kind of do an overview of the mission of what My Intent is. And we would pair the kids off into groups, and they would do little different exercises to help guide them to their word. And then what I would do is I would hand stamp their word, gift them that on either a keychain, bracelet, or necklace. And then they use those words to actually engage with others to make the sales. And then I would donate a portion back to the school, to the program. And it was something that I wanted to do because I thought that it would help Faith, because even though she couldn't hand stamp with the hammer, because it's literally a hammer and a stamp, she could certainly help with the workshops, which she did. She can certainly ink, which she inked several, and then she was kind of like had it everywhere, but then she would like to do it, and then she's like, no, I don't want to do it, and then she would do it. So after we hand stamp it, you just ink it, and they don't have to be like perfect in the lines, you just ink it, and then you let it sit, and then you polish it off. So that was like a perfect job for her, especially on the keychains, not so much on the corded bracelets if they were already like pre-done, because if it was like a lighter color, then the black ink would get all over it. But it was just something powerful, I think, for her to share other people's words, have them share them with her, be able to speak to it, and then kind of learn about the business aspect of it, if you will. And then with COVID, things kind of came to a halt. And then when I started the show, I'm like, this is awesome platform, because I'm going to gift all of my guests with a hand stamped meaningful word to them. And I will use that in between their interview episodes. So each week something comes out, you have their word. Okay, stay tuned and tune in for their full interview next week. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a powerful thing to have the positivity, to spread the positivity about. So that's where that, sorry, I went on a tangent to tell you all about that, but that's kind of where my intent came in. So yeah. I had to get certified. And then I also I have ones that I stamped with Village. And then I have the little quote on there, on the little form that it comes with. So if anybody wanted to donate, they would receive a hand stamp token with the word Village on it in appreciation. And then those funds would go towards helping with the costs of running the podcast. So there will be episodes where my husband and I, interview parents, as you have seen if you've been listening, and myself and Faith interviewing the individuals. And right now I'm doing the sibling interviews, which I think are very powerful to have the siblings on, because they are not heard as often as they should be. And I don't think that there's enough support out there like there should be. Be nice to connect some of the siblings. There should be like a sibling like mentor program. But I feel I feel it's important. What else? So really just that's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Biggest thing you could do is just tune into the podcast at the Guilbault Girls Show. Be sure to go over and subscribe to our Guilbault Girls YouTube channel, as well as Facebook. I don't do much on Instagram. I'm not 100% on Instagram. Don't really have the time to like figure out how to do it all. It can get confusing because I'm not very tech savvy. If there's anybody that, is looking for an internship for school, hint, hint, you can come help work on my marketing skills, and getting the word out, on the different social media platforms. I would like to do TikTok too. I just right now don't have the time, or, it's a lot. And the older you get, the harder it is to learn all these different social media platform thingies. So, but if you know anybody, again, you or anyone that you might know would be interested in being a guest on the show, please reach out to us on any of those platforms or email us. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed season 1. My plan is at the end of the year in November, each day I will air the words segment on Facebook. And then in December, I will air the actual interviews, because I know a lot of them with all those algorithms, how they work all crazy and stuff. This way I'll just upload it straight onto Facebook, and hopefully get more of a reach that way. So stay tuned for season 2. We have some great guests coming up. We have Mindy Shire from Runway of Dreams and Gamut. We have Alex Barone, who is an actor, a producer, a director, a mentor, an advocate. We have Dr. Paul Wachansky, who is a motivational speaker and an author that his book just released in November. Yes, I Can is the name of it. Make sure you go and look for it. We have another author who is living with Dee DeFada with multiple sclerosis. Also another inspirational speaker. We have Kennedy Krieger Sports. We have just a list that's just running. So just keep them coming. Keep subscribing and sharing. And I'm out. Peace out. Hope you had a great year. And I will see you in January to kick off season 2. Peace out. Thank you for joining us as we spread awareness through our personal stories and the many resources shared. You can help us by joining our village simply by sharing our show to the masses. If you would like to support the Guilbault Girls on another level, click on the link in the show notes to make a donation in any amount. Add your address and you'll receive a hand-stamped token with the word village on it in appreciation. Be sure to subscribe to our Guilbault Girls podcast and YouTube show, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Guilbault Girls. Till next time.